everybody, and welcome to Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast, where we talk about all things solo, and of course, occasionally, or more than occasionally, the Beatles. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're really glad to be here. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late, but technology doesn't always work the way you want it to,
It's a lot of cockamamie business.
A lot of cockamamie business, that's right. But, it's living in a cracker box palace. But we're here now. So thank you so much for joining us. We've got a great show tonight. If you hadn't guessed already, this is a George Harrison-centric show. We've got a really interesting topic. We're going to be talking about the three greatest hits compilations that have thus far come out, and I think it's safe to say, have been a little bit controversial over the years, and as far as, are they accurate? Do they present accurate pictures of his career? And so that's what we are going to talk about tonight. And of course, as always, we want to know what you guys think. So I think this will be a fascinating discussion. So we've got a lot to get to tonight. Before we get to all that, though, as always, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Kit O'Toole. I am the author of Songs We Were Singing, Guided Tours to the Beatles' Lesser Known Tracks, Michael Jackson FAQ, All That's Left to Know About the King of Pop, and I'm the co-editor of the brand new book, The Act You've Known for All These Years, Fandom and the Beatles. And let's get to my good friends that I'm lucky enough to co-host this show with every other week. He is the longtime syndicated host of Every Little Thing. He's also the co-host of the very popular podcast, Things We Said Today. And if that weren't enough, he is, if that doesn't keep him busy enough, he is also the host of his own YouTube channel, where he interviews authors, musicians, and much, much more. So say hello to our good friend, Ken Michaels. Hello, Ken.
Hi, Kit. Hi, everybody. Right now, I'd rather be hanging out with you guys and the gnomes right behind you. They look very friendly.
They are. They're a friendly sort. They really are. Absolutely. And he is the host of the very popular YouTube channel, Mean Mr. Mayo, which has all kinds of programming. He does unboxings. He goes to his local record store and does some great videos from there. He shows off his collection. And he has a great new show on usually Sundays called Fab Gab that he co-hosts with another great YouTuber, Matthew Street. I was on it recently. Tom, you're going to be on it soon. Great show. Love it. So say hello to someone who's not mean at all, Joe Mayo. Hi, Joe.
Hi, thank you, Kit. Hello, everybody. Great to be here for another shoe.
Yeah, it's a really big shoe indeed. And last but definitely not least, he is the co-host of the Paul McCartney-centric podcast, Two Legs, which, boy, you guys have just expanded it so much over, the past, year or so. I mean, it's just incredible. It's available as a regular podcast, also as a video cast. And if that weren't enough, they also do a weekly show, Rank the Tracks, where they have been ranking, and he and co-host Andy Nichols have been ranking tracks on, they've been going through all Paul's albums, and it is a lot of fun. If you haven't tuned into that, you really should. You can join in and rank the tracks, and as I do sometimes, heckle them, and it's really fun. So so show your love for Tom Hunyadi. Hi, Tom.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Kit, Ken, and Joe. And man, this week, or these last 2 weeks have gone by faster than a bullet from a gun, haven't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
What have we created here?
I don't know. I just don't know. As we've been doing this show, the puns just come faster and faster. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
There you go. So welcome, everybody. And so before we get to our main topic, as always, Ken is the man with the news. So Ken, what have you got for us?
Well, first of all, I think if anybody has a drink ready, if you want to lift it up, there's something to celebrate today. Okay.
I know what it
Let's
is.
hear it. 40th anniversary. Ringo and Barbara getting married.
Hey,
Happy
Cheers.
anniversary.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Ringo was quoted online. He said, "It was 40 years ago today. The love of my life said yes, yes, yes. And I said it right back. Peace and love."
Very
So
sweet.
congratulations to the two of them.
Yeah, better than no, no, no.
He's hot tonight.
Yeah, he's on fire
We're only
tonight,
a few
folks.
we're only a few minutes in.
You are a regular riot.
Oh my
All
God.
right. Let's get started here with news about the Plastic Ono Band, which, by the way, the box set we're going to be reviewing in the next show. In case anybody's wondering, we needed to have a little bit more time than just a few days to cover. What is it? 6 discs
No,
altogether?
8 if you count the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Need a little
Wow.
bit more time than 3 days, but the next show we'll be doing that. But since 2 weeks ago, since our last show, 2 new videos have come out to promote the new Plastic Ono Band box set, which is now on YouTube, these 2 videos. And that's the demo for Give Peace a Chance. John is performing it on acoustic guitar at the Sheraton Oceanus Hotel in the Bahamas in 1969 on a couch with Yoko. And John is ad-libbing most of the lyrics of the verses. The picture quality is just wonderful. And the audio recording for this is part of that Blu-ray audio of the box set. Plus, there's a new video for Isolation, which has a camera following many of the rooms and locations in Tittenhurst Park and telling you at the bottom of the screen what rooms they are. Very cool the way it was done, like Julian's room.
Right.
You know. On Saturday, there was a listening party on Twitter in which they streamed the Plastic Ono Band album, and fans wrote in with their comments. Also, Variety magazine featured an interview with Klaus Vormann discussing the importance of the album and the new box set, which you can find right now on our Facebook page if you want to read it. I posted it right there. Something I just learned from a post from the Nothing Is Real podcast. When Yoko just celebrated her 88th birthday, there was a special done on SiriusXM's Beatles channel in which Sean Lennon said that he's overseeing Harry Nilsson's recordings of Yoko's material for a Yoko tribute album for her, which is very cool. Because altogether, at least as far as I know, I believe there were 9 Yoko songs that that Harry recorded, and many of them have come out. There was that Every Man release that came out in 1984, which is all covers of Yoko material. That's where
Really?
John's version of the song first came out, and there were several Harry Nilsson recordings on that. So the other ones I have seen on YouTube and
Okay.
heard, but I don't know if that's all of them. And in fact, the last Harry Nilsson album, the one that came out last year, Lost and Found, had his cover of Listen, the Snow is Falling on there. So bit by bit, it's been trickling out, but Sean is working on something there, which is nice to hear.
Interesting.
With the digital release of the McCartney 3 Imagine album on Friday, the April 16th, Paul McCartney has been live on Instagram having very casual conversations with artists who are involved in the new mixes of songs for the album. These usually lasted close to 30 minutes each to let you know what's going on with him and the artists that were involved with this new release. He spoke with both Ed O'Brien of the band Radiohead and Andy Clark of St. Vincent. In these interviews, he hinted that he was going to Charlie Chaplin Studios to lay down a track with the young producer, Andrew Watt, who actually won the Grammy Award for Producer of the Year just recently. Some of the acts he's produced have been Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, Ozzy Osbourne, and Charlotte Lawrence. He said this new track is not for the next album, just doing it to see what happens. He also said he was in town, this is in LA, to work on his animated film for High in the Clouds, and that he had plans that night to watch the first bit of the new Get Back movie with Ringo.
See, and that's kind of, weird. I mean, shouldn't this be done? I mean, if this was supposed to be out last year, Why are they now watching it? You know what I mean? If it was supposed to be done already, they've had plenty of time this last year and a half to
Hmm.
watch it. You know what
Oh,
I
it's got
mean?
to be completed. I wonder
Yeah,
what he means by the first bit.
Yeah, he
yeah,
never said the whole
exactly.
movie,
Right.
so I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I can't
No.
believe it's not completely done,
It's got to
especially
Right.
if it's
be.
coming out the end of August. By now, it
Exactly.
should be done.
Yeah.
So if it's not, we're certainly going to hear something very soon.
Right.
He also did interviews with Phoebe Bridgers and Josh Homme the
Mm.
following day. I didn't get a chance to see those. Any of you guys see these interviews at all?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
yet.
Both of them I saw. I mean, both of them were pretty much the same thing, like the day before with O'Brien and St. Vincent. Where they just talked about life in general, and what you're doing, and what are you doing, and and stuff like that, and so I mean, they were okay. I mean, they were basically all four of them had the same theme of Paul working on High in the Clouds, and then with the Get Back, and then working with Watts, like you said, and then everybody else was like, and then asking, did you get to listen to the whole album yet, and whatnot, and talk about how your experience recording the song that you did for me, whatever. So I mean, they were okay. I mean, he did have to tell the story of the yesterday story. I don't know why it came up, but I mean, it's
Are
just
you serious?
yes. I
Can't
think it was
believe
the
it.
Saint Vincent one, if
Oh,
I'm not mistaken, where he just out of the blue just brought it up. Just brought that story
oh,
up. And it was a little frustrating, but all in all, they weren't bad. I'm glad he's still doing new music. I mean, he talks about not wanting people to think he's working with the new hot producer, but yet here he is working with the new hot producer.
Yeah.
That's
For
what it is.
and Watts. So.
It's not. It's not a bad idea what he's doing. Also, in addition to having the album, the reimagined one, he's also doing these interviews with these, I guess, more modern people,
Right.
Mhm.
to kind of and individual,
Hmm.
so
Right.
everybody gets a chance, and maybe some younger people get a chance to see Paul
Right.
exposed to these with their newer artists that they like.
sure.
Right.
So
Hmm.
I mean, I get why he's doing it. It's a good strategy. I think
Yeah,
that's what it
Yep.
is.
Yep.
I think it's
absolutely.
very smart.
Yep.
It's what
Hmm.
I call cross promotion
Yep.
because she
Yep.
may have some of their fans, these younger artists,
Right.
seeing Paul on screen, knowing that they're working on Paul's material, and they might want to check out this imagined album.
Yeah.
At the same time, it could also work in reverse. It can
Yeah,
Yeah.
get Paul to get people interested in these artists. So it's really a good thing overall. And I think it's a great way of keeping Paul's name out there, and especially to younger people.
yep.
Yeah.
It's really
I agree.
important.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Both former Wings, Denny Sywell and Lawrence Juber, took part in a conversation with Q104's Ken Dashow 2 Saturdays ago as a virtual event in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the formation of Wings. An article appeared in the New York Daily News with quotes from both Denny and Lawrence, and this is a separate interview, this is done virtually, on how Wings, they feel, deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and how they will never reform without Linda McCartney. Denny was quoted as saying it was not Paul's band, it was a band called Wings. That's exactly what Paul wanted of us. We were in on everything. And Juber said that Paul viewed Wings' successes as a collective effort. He said we
Hmm.
were encouraged to think of it as a band. It wasn't just Paul McCartney's backing group. Then he said that he would love to drum with Paul again and told him so, but Paul made it clear that a Wings reunion wouldn't be right without Linda. Denny says, right after Linda passed away, I went over to see Paul in England and we talked about a Wings reunion. And he had me get together with some of the guys, get their contact information, and see if anybody was interested. When I called him back and said, yeah, it's a go, let's see what we can do here. He said, on second thought, having a reunion without Linda in the band would be like having a Beatles reunion without John.
Mm.
And Lawrence said that when Wingspan was released in 2001, Paul said to him there would be no Wings shows without Linda. She
Mm.
was integral to the band, Lawrence says, as much as all the flack she got, she was the core of it, at least in my experience.
I get that, but I don't think there's any shame in doing like a couple tribute shows here and there. You know what I mean? It don't necessarily call it a reunion, necessarily call it a tribute to Linda, or a tribute to Wings. You know, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a reunion. You know, just more or less call it a tribute show, like Queen did for Freddie Mercury. You know, and have other
Yeah.
acts come out and share vocals. You know, with Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
that's how you see it.
Yeah.
That's how many of
Yeah.
us see it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that
Yeah.
we have to expect Paul to feel the same
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
I mean, I
You
see
know?
his point. You know,
Yeah.
that
I
was
mean, I
very.
wouldn't mind seeing just like just Denny alone on drumming behind Paul, or Denny Sidewell and Denny Lane maybe one time playing with
Mm.
Paul. Not
Right.
everybody together, if you know what I mean. It's more like a Wings thing if they're all together. But if it's just one person here and there joining Paul for a song or two, that would be all
Yeah.
right with me.
I would
Right.
love to see that.
Yeah,
I'd love to
absolutely.
see Paul work with people that he's worked with in the past. He rarely ever, goes back in
Right.
time and
That's
works
true.
with people unless it's Ringo,
Right.
Yeah.
Dave Gilmour here and there.
I thought he
But
said that he was always going back in time. That he was a
Yeah.
backwards
song,
traveler.
but not not in real life, I guess.
Right.
Yep.
All right,
Mm.
Paul is featured in the latest issue of Mojo magazine with Paul Weller on the front cover. The headline quote from Paul reads, "Come on, man, we were hippies." I haven't read the article, so I guess it's all about the 60s and what it
Right.
was like during that period. And Paul Weller apparently is now the new editor for Mojo.
Mm.
Mm.
Ringo Starr posted a photo a couple weeks ago of an octopus on a seabed with the caption that read, "The octopus's garden is threatened. Will you help protect it?" He sent a message reading, "I am asking for your help to save the oceans from my friends, the octopuses, peace and love," with a hashtag for Greenpeace International. Very nice from Ringo.
It-
Okay. Peter Frampton has just released a new album of instrumentals called, funnily enough, Frampton Forgets the Words.
Very good.
And on it, he covers George Harrison's Isn't It a Pity? There's even a new video for the song showing how Peter, like most of us, has been suffering through lockdown with his concert dates being canceled and how his life is being put on hold.
Mm.
And Ringo just posted a message online to Peter. "Well done, Peter Frampton. What a great cover of Isn't It a Pity? And congratulations on your new record out today. Peace and love, Ringo." Very nice. All these messages coming from Ringo, very positive, all the time positive.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate Classic Rock reports that the actor Jacob Fortune Lloyd, who played chess prodigy and journalist D.L. Towns in The Queen's Gambit, has been chosen to play the lead role in a biopic on Brian Epstein called Midas Man, which begins shooting later this year. This unofficial film, which has been in production for quite some time, on the life and times of Beatles manager Brian Epstein, will be directed by multi-Grammy winner Jonas Ackerland, best known for music videos, including Ozzy Osbourne's Under the Graveyard. Fortune Lloyd had this to say: "It's a huge privilege to play Brian Epstein, a man who made such an important and lasting cultural impact, but who struggled to find a secure place in a world he helped to shape. He was a fascinating person with great talent, ambition, and courage, and I'm so honored to be given the opportunity to represent him." Says Jonas is the perfect person to bring this story to life. His work is visually stunning, visceral, and bold. I can't wait to start working together. All right. There's
Nice.
always projects in the works on Brian Epstein, which is always nice to hear. And finally, with special thanks to John Bazzini
Mm-hmm.
of the always excellent Beatles in Print Together and Solo Facebook page,
Yes,
we learn
indeed.
of a new book called Rivals of the Beatles by Martin Orkin. It's described on the book's page as a trawl through history's greatest era with 20 of the many fine groups who rivaled the Beatles, almost. Featured are the Rolling Stones, Beach Boys, the Byrds, and the Kinks. It's made in glossy hardback, has 800 pages of informative
Whoa!
text,
Wow!
Wow.
and there's an initial print run of 500 numbered and signed copies available. To purchase this book, you can go to rivalsofthebeatles.com. There you
Interesting.
go.
There you go. Wow. lots of stuff going on. Just a couple of comments I just want to read before we get going. Tom, our good friend Tom Brennan, is asking, I thought Peter Frampton retired from live shows. Wasn't he in the midst of his sort of farewell tour?
He said that.
Mhm.
He was having some problems playing. A lot of it had to do, I think, with nerve damage of
Yeah,
some kind. And I guess he's still well enough to play. He's going to keep playing as long as he can.
yeah,
But,
yep,
you know,
absolutely.
and we
Kind of
wanted to
like
keep
what
playing and making new albums too.
kind of like what Glenn Campbell did, right? Kept on going live until he couldn't do it anymore.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Absolutely. And I had to read this comment, and I apologize because it scrolled so fast. I'm not sure who wrote this, but I had to read it about the Plastic Ono Band. It says the box set. The box set is just a concept by which my credit card measures its own pay. You win, sir, for comment of the night.
Who said that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's Edward Crawford. It may have been. Whoever said that, please.
It was Edward Crawford.
Yeah, I think it was because it scrolled so
Yes.
fast. The comments have been and thank you everybody for your comments. This is great. It's going so fast, and it's hard to scroll back, but that was great. So had to
Very
share
clever.
that. Very good.
Wow.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you, Ken. That was great. So let's move on to our main topic. As we mentioned at the top of the show, this is about the 3 George Harrison greatest hits collections. Yes, and yep, as Tom is showing you here, the best of George Harrison, best of Dark Horse, and Let It Roll. Now, before we get to each individual greatest hits collection, I thought we could start off by first talking about what is the purpose of a greatest hits collection. I mean, yeah, sure, we could just say it's a collection of their greatest hits. I mean, their chart topping singles, but it seems like it's more than that. That it's about something more than just slapping together a bunch of hit singles. So I want to get a sense of what you guys think is the purpose of putting together such a collection, other than just a money grab. I mean, that you can think of it as that, but I think it's something more. So what do you guys think? Ken, let's start with you. What do you think of it?
I think that it serves a couple of purposes. For the casual fan who just wants the hits and doesn't want to go deep into the artist catalog, that's fine. If you have to have one album or one CD, what would it be? You'd want the songs that you know the most, and those tend to be the hits. And also, like I just said, if you don't want to have to plow through every single album in the catalog, this makes things a lot easier for you. It also is a good primer. If you're interested in exploring a certain artist, start with the greatest hits. And if you like those, then you can go deep. So, I like, when people ask my advice, like what McCartney album should I start with? I haven't bought any of his albums, and he's got over 30 albums. What do? Well, a good thing is to buy a collection, like, I don't know, Pure McCartney or Wingspan or one of those, whatever you think works best. In the case with George, you've got these 3 that have come out, and we all, I'm sure, have different opinions about all 3 of them. But yeah, I would generally like to introduce an artist's music to a fan with the greatest hits, or if there's an album in the catalog that everybody feels is without a doubt like the one you have to have, that's the best of all of them. Whether you think it's Band on the Run for Paul or All Things Must Pass, go that route or go with the greatest hits.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's an easy way to, if you want to introduce somebody to an artist, it's, point them there. This is your primer. But Tom, do you think, because like I was amazed when the number 1 compilations came out, in 2000. I mean, I wasn't surprised that casual Beatles fans bought that. I mean, but I was amazed at, the number of diehard Beatles fans who
Right.
bought that. So, do you think that greatest hits collections also appeal to the diehard fans? I mean, do you think
If
there's a market for them?
if it's done right, yeah, I do. I mean, there's some acts we got to remember. I mean, he only released 8 singles for this first greatest hits. So I mean, it could have been tricky. I mean, in different ways, which we'll talk about when we get to that first one. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see it as these greatest hits as something for like my generation when I got into the Beatles. I mean, it's a great introduction to the catalog, like Ken said, and then like and for the casual fan, if they don't want to spend all that money, the greatest hits, if done right, could be that album for you, where you don't need to buy all the other albums if you're just a casual fan. So, but again, I mean, I'm a person that's is going to buy the greatest hits, even though I have pretty much everything else, anyways. And then every once in a while, on one of these sets, like we'll see, they'll give us a new song or two, or they'll give us a gem or a hidden single, like I Don't Want to Do It. So every once in a while they'll appeal to the casual fan, or I would say they more 9 times out of 10 they're appealing more to the casual fan. And then that 1%, you're gonna appeal to the diehard and give them something that that is rare or hard to find.
Yep, absolutely. And, actually our good friend Hudson Rennie brings up a good point. He said another reason he would buy something like that. He said, like, for me, it was Die Hard. I would maybe want the hits to keep in the car or put on my phone to have to
Absolutely,
play.
yeah.
So, there are other reasons. So, Joe, what about for you? I mean, did you find that a greatest hits collection introduce you to to an artist? I mean, was that a way you got into it, or how did you
Well,
what do you think?
if we're talking about artists in general, I have a reputation. I was thinking of getting a T-shirt saying "Just the Hits,"
Hits.
because Tom will get a kick out of that. I have a reputation for that with a lot of artists. I only care about their hits. Huey Lewis in the News, off the top of my head, I just want the hits. I don't know, but that's not to say there's not good album tracks. I'm just thinking of names off the top of my head. The Trogs. I mean, they might have some good things besides Wild Thing. I don't know, but I always say when it comes to the Beatles, none of that. You need every album, I think.
Right.
It's the
Mhm.
most
Yes.
consistent catalog as Beatles as a group. I mean, I'm talking about, 62 to 66 and 67 to 70, nice way to start for them. And I would always recommend for a person who doesn't know them at all, the one compilation to start with. That's a
Mm.
good selection of the greatest hits. But we're talking about George. I don't think any one of these three that we're going to talk about here today really do him justice completely. I don't think the definitive George Harrison compilation has been done yet, for me anyway, as far as regular official releases. I think Tom said there weren't many singles for George really at the time of the first one, even, and whether you call something the best of or greatest hits, are they hits or are they album tracks that are solid? Let It Roll doesn't have any kind of title about it, whether it's the best of George or anything. It's a career spanning thing.
It doesn't even say greatest hits on Let It Roll, isn't it? Just songs
It's
by
just
George
supposed
Harrison.
just
Songs
songs
of
by
George.
George Harrison.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
songs
mean,
like George,
yeah,
which could be anything really.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
I'm a big fan of hits collections, and depending on the artist, sometimes that's all I feel I need. Although, as I say, I've been surprised many times that there's an album track hidden. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's an album song that's not a hit. And of
Mhm.
course, they're there too. More often than not, I personally come up empty when I give somebody else a chance. Other than a couple of hits I know, I'm like, yeah, let's get to the ones that are popular.
Mhm.
But yeah, so what's the purpose of it? That really depends on the artist. What are they trying to put out there?
Right.
A sampling of the finest stuff that became actual chart-topping hits. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on the intent.
Absolutely. And and that's the thing. And yeah, many commenters are saying that too, that that greatest hits albums can be gateways. Certainly it was for me with the Beatles greatest hits compilation from the early 80s. That was my gateway into them. That was the first Beatles album I ever owned. And of course One has kind of replaced that now.
Right.
But that was my kind of my training, my tricycle into the Beatles. So it can mean that. But it can also, you can also think of it though as, you're introducing, if you're recommending it to somebody, you are saying this is a compilation that is representative of this person's body of work. This is a kind of a representation. But are these 3 albums we're talking about tonight accurate representations of George Harrison's work? So that's what we're going to get into right now. So we want you guys out there to comment as well. So to refresh everybody's memory, I'm going to pull up here. I've put down the track listing of the 3 albums just to refresh everybody's memory. So hopefully this will show up for everybody. Okay, slideshow, play from start. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is the first one that came out, Best of George Harrison from 1976. To say this one was controversial is putting it mildly, to say the least, because half of it was Beatles tracks and half of it was solo. And so here is the track listing. We have Something, If I Needed Someone, Here Comes the Sun, Taxman, Think for Yourself, For You Blue, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, My Sweet Lord, Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth, You, Bangladesh, Dark Horse, and What Is Life. So let's see what first let's talk about are there any good things about this set? Let's start on a positive note, shall we? What do you think are some positives about this first collection? So Joe, how about you? Is there anything you like about this collection?
Well, the first thing I just want to throw out there is this is the UK cover, the sleeve. I've always liked the US cover, the dark one that has George's image,
the cosmos,
stars. Yeah, it's very, very cosmic and mysterious, spiritual. I like that cover a lot. As far as the content on it, now of course, I'm like everybody else. Everybody says, "Oh, well, he got shortchanged." It's the first side it's all Beatles, all Beatles stuff with George on it. And why didn't they use more songs from his solo career? He didn't have many hit singles out at the time, really, to fill out a whole album. But I'm going to go another route here that may surprise some people. I want to make it official on the record that I do think it was kind of a jip to George. To put the Beatles songs, but I gotta say, in the case of at least 3 songs, Something, Here Comes the Sun, and While My Guitar Gently Weeps, those are 3 of the best of George Harrison. Now, the Beatles tracks, he wrote them and he's doing the lead vocal on it, but those are 3 of George Harrison's best songs. So I'm going to say those 3, I actually don't have a problem with those 3 being on there. Maybe even Taxman as well. Yeah. Because I mean, even later on, I'm jumping the gun here a little bit. When we got to Let It Roll, they even had 3 live versions, which I'm not a fan of live versions on compilations, I'll tell you. But they chose those 3 songs of the Beatles to put on Let It Roll later on in 2009. Because those are representative of the best of the man, George Harrison. They might even be the 3 best songs he's ever done, arguably, classic George. So technically, yeah, they're Beatles songs, those 3. But yeah, otherwise, on the other side, Yeah, you expect stuff like My Sweet Lord to be on there, has to be on there. Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth. You is a good choice from Extra Texture. I'm glad they have the Bangladesh single on there because I love when they take a stray song like that and include it. I don't know. When I was growing up in the 70s and getting into the solo Beatles, I was so relieved to have Bangladesh on there. That's probably the track I
Yeah.
went to the most. I would pull that out and play it just for that because it's the only place I could really get to hear it. And Dark Horse is represented the song, and What Is Life from the great All Things Must Pass. It's a good amount of songs. I mean, I have some selections here if I was going to replace a few of maybe what I'd put on. I don't know if you want to go that route yet.
Yeah. What were the what are the what do you not like about it?
Well, yeah, and again, we always have to say when we discuss Beatle related stuff a lot of times. I love the Beatles, all the Beatles songs. I love For You Blue, Think for Yourself, If I Needed Someone. But I would have taken those off probably, I think. Then where do you go if there are no hit, singles really? That many of them anyway. I had a few here. If I was going to redo the whole side, we were going to take off the Beatles altogether. Maybe I'd put If Not For You on there. All Things Must Pass. The title track, All Things Must Pass, which had its origins too as a Beatles song. Also, Isn't It a Pity? Although it's a little lengthy, maybe for a vinyl album, but Isn't It a Pity? Beware of Darkness. So that's quite a helping there of just All Things Must Pass. But then off Living in the Material World, I always felt that I know I'm not alone that Don't Let Me Wait Too Long should have been a single. It would have been a powerful single. How cool would that have been on that album if you're going to do that and just make it all George? And finally, I'm thinking two songs that are pretty much singles for George. This Guitar Can Keep You From Crying, Extra Texture, and Ding Dong Ding Dong.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I would have done that. So those are maybe the 7 tracks I would have replaced if you could fit 7 on in place of the 7 Beatles songs. Otherwise, leave the 3 that I mentioned. Here Comes the Sun, something While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and put 4 other ones on there.
Yeah.
That's
okay. Fair enough. Absolutely. So, all right, Tom, how about you? What do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of the first greatest hits compilation?
Well, the second side obviously is the strength. I think if you're going to have a best of George Harrison, then that's what George Harrison is. I know we want to say that the side A, if you're playing the vinyl, I know we say it's George Harrison. We know he wrote it. He wrote the songs. He sung the songs, but it's still the Beatles. No matter what you want to say, it's still the Beatles. So for that, I think it's kind of a jib, like Joe said earlier. But a highlight is adding Bangladesh to the single Bangladesh to this collection. Yeah, major plus because it was a hit. I mean, it's a non-album track. So by the time 76. Those copies of Bangladesh single could be scarce. You're probably having a hard time finding it by that time. And then now here it is for you on this compilation. Now, regarding Beatles songs, if they wanted to add a couple of the Beatles songs that he's performed during the concert for Bangladesh, I probably wouldn't have had a problem with that. So if you want to put, something on there or Here Comes the Sun on there, fine, good. But I don't see how you can have the best of George Harrison and not have Isn't It a Pity on there, which was a double A side. You have to. I think you definitely have to have that on there. So I'm going to get rid of those Beatles songs now. The Isn't It a Pity that pretty much will take the place of 3 Beatles songs for the most parts. So then all you have to do then really is add 2, 3, 4 more songs and you got everything covered. So you can add, like Joe said, a ding dong ding dong. I don't know about if I would add this guitar because it didn't chart. So I don't know if I would add. I would be okay if that wasn't on there. What I'm saying. But however, I think it would also be cool if some of the B-sides, non-album B-sides were on there, like a Miss Odell, like a Deep Blue, like a I Don't Care. I think those would have been a nice couple, nice additions to that best of George Harrison, and that's how I would have handled it.
Absolutely. Now, and it's interesting, Maria Lynn makes a very good point here. She mentioned they should have included for Beatles stuff, if they were going to, Within You, Without You. That was actually a popular criticism that I've read from other people saying, if they were going to include some Beatles stuff, they should have included some of the Indian flavored stuff that he did, because that was more him. And that's and that's an interesting point, because that would have been a more accurate picture if you're calling this the best of George Harrison.
That's a good point. I want to throw something in before I forget too. I forgot to say. Now this is really quibbling. I know people are gonna go. However, it says the best of George Harrison, not the best of solo George Harrison. Just for what it's worth. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to cover my tracks. Yeah, I see the whole side of the guy got shortchanged too. I see it.
Yes.
I'm trying to weigh both sides.
But then again, if you only put out 8 singles at that time, you know what I mean, and not all of them are major hits, you have to fill in the hole somehow. And
and before we get to Ken, a couple of people mentioned Cracker Box Palace. This came out before 33 1/3, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Is this different label?
Capitol Collection.
And different label. So that's why. So I mean, so we agree those are wonderful songs, but they couldn't have been included at this time. So we can't knock them for not. So we should
say that this covers the years 1970 to 75. So All Things Must Pass up to Extra Texture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important to know.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to cut them a little slack for that, unfortunately. Okay, Ken, how about you? How do you feel about this collection?
Well, first of all, side 2 is the only strength of it. And if you're going to pick the singles from George's solo career, these are the essential ones up to that point.
Correct.
And remember, they're saying the best of, not George Harrison's greatest hits.
Right.
So to me, when you say best of, that can also incorporate album tracks.
Good point.
So, and I think that it was a travesty. It was the biggest slap in the face to have an entire side of Beatles songs on there. When you consider the fact that when 1970 happened and all the solo Beatles put out their solo albums, and yes, McCartney went to #1, and Plastic Ono Old Band has been considered, by many to be his best, or one of his best, one of John's best. But George was the darling of everybody when he exploded with All Things Must Pass. And he had a double album's worth of great material there. Then the Concert for Bangladesh. Then a #1 album with Living in the Material World. Then top 10 albums with Dark Horse and Extra Texture. There's enough you can fill on one album of just George Harrison music without relying on the Beatles catalog. I'm sorry. No one's denying that George's stuff in the Beatles is among his greatest songs, but he delivered so much great stuff just from All Things Must Pass alone. As Joe was saying, half this album could have been All Things Must Pass. So what I would do, I put down 6 songs, and I can flip-flop on a few of them. I would put Awaiting on You All in there because it was a very big album cut, very commercial sounding. Could have been the 3rd single from the album. If Not For You could also have been. But I put Awaiting on You All on there. I think Beware of Darkness is now a track that's really getting recognized as among George's best. But then it's 1976. We didn't know that back then. But also for Beware of Darkness, it would be nice to put something in from the Concert for Bangladesh. And I always thought George's duet with Leon Russell was superb. So you could either put the studio version from All Things Must Pass or the Bangladesh version of Beware of Darkness. Don't Let Me Wait Too Long is the single that should have been. That should have been on there. And having remembered radio airplay of the Dark Horse album, So Sad was played a lot on rock stations. That's an excellent track. I would have included that on there. And of the remaining, I wanted to make sure there was something else from the other studio albums. So mainly because I think The Answers at the End is one of George's best solo songs, I wanted to put that in there. And I also included That Is All, which to me is probably the greatest love song of his solo career. And it's pretty much on a par with me with
Mm.
something. I think it's that beautiful a song, just not that well known, unfortunately. So that's what I would have done with the other songs. I'm not saying that the songs I selected would have all made side two. You could have mixed them all together, put them all chronologically, and that would have been fine. In fact, the answers at the end would have been at the end.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I would have done, but never ever put Beatles songs on
I
a
stand by
solo
those
Beatle.
three.
Mhm.
They're the three
Well,
best songs ever.
well, the other Beatles didn't do it.
Yeah.
Even in the case of Ringo, and granted, Ringo had 7 top tens. He still put early 1970 on Blast from Your Past. He still put Buku's a Blues, which was never a big
Yeah,
hit to
but
begin with.
yeah.
You know, he didn't put Octopus's Garden in there.
Yeah, but how
He
much
didn't put
control did he have over that? I mean, was he able to pick all the songs that went on his Blast from the Past? I don't know.
Well, John
You know what
took
I
care
mean?
of Shaved Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I honestly don't know, but they
Yeah.
must have felt at Capitol that Ringo had enough material for a whole
Right.
album
Well, he
by the end of
did.
1975.
And there are only 10
So did
songs. I think
George.
there are only 10 songs on
Yeah,
Ringo's.
Right.
that's
But again,
true.
I think he only had what 8 or 9 singles at that time too,
Right.
including what was it? Back off. No, I'm sorry. Buku's the Blues was a single as well. So if you count that, you know, I
Right.
think that's 9, and then you put a B side like early 1970 on there, and
Right.
then a deep cut like I'm the Greatest, you know, on there. Then you know you're set. You know, so I think that was handled properly, for sure.
Well, the same thing could have been done with George.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Yep, absolutely. I'll just looking at a couple comments here. I agree with you. Tom Brennan, the full version of Wah Wah would have been the one song if I had to pick from the concert for Bangladesh. That is an incredible version. I would have
Right.
loved to have seen that on there as well. Yeah, I agree. I mean, much as, of course, his Beatles compositions were incredible. I mean, of course. But yeah, I agree that I think particularly for that time that was a kind of a slap in the face to him. I mean, he had so much material there. I understand it was early in his career. He didn't have as many hits at that point, but as you all have mentioned, there were so many other album tracks that he could have been chosen. And as you said, it's best of, it's not necessarily
Right.
Greatest hits. So I think they had some latitude there to pick some of those ones, like Tony DeMeo mentioned Beware of Darkness. I mean, that would have been one of my choices as well. I mean,
Right.
there were so many great songs, and yes, we didn't know then that they would become the classics that they are today, but I think people knew back then what incredible songs they were. So yeah, so I don't think it does paint a picture of him as a songwriter. I will say that. I mean, it's, the Beatles material. I mean, yeah, those are incredible songs he wrote. I mean, no question. But as a solo artist, I don't think it really does
No.
present a clear picture of
No,
him
not
as
as
a
a solo
solo artist.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah, exactly. So and critics certainly weren't impressed either. I found some pretty damning opinions, and particularly in current times. Let's see, just trying to find, let's see, for All Music, Bruce Eater called it a good but routine collection. And in the Rolling Stone album guide, they said that it, of course, takes half its contents from Beatles albums, which is a little insulting. And Paul Denoyer, great critic, I've cited him many times, said of the compilation that really the main strength it has is the 1971 single version of Bangladesh, which certainly, yeah, that is a big plus that it has. So, all right, so that was take one. So let's go to take two. And I remember this compilation very well. Yep, there it is. Best of Dark Horse. So let me share the screen again, and we'll go here. And I remember buying this vividly. This was, of course, released when during George Harrison's career renaissance. You know,
Right.
he was, of course, after Cloud Nine and coming off of the Traveling Wilburys. So, so there it is, and it's out of print, which it's a shame because it's you know, a
Right.
good collection. So so let's see if they got it right this time. So here's the lineup, the track lineup. Poor Little Girl, Blow Away, That's the Way It Goes, Cockamamie Business, Wake Up My Love, Life Itself, Got My Mind Set on You, Crackerbox Palace, Cloud Nine, Here Comes the Moon, Gone Troppo, When We Was Fab, Love Comes to Everyone, All Those Years Ago, and Cheer Down. All right, so let's see if the record company got it a little better.
Well, this is George, though, if I may interject.
Well, and that's a good point. Thank you, Joe, for reminding me. Yes, that George had a hand in picking much bigger hand in picking out the tracks.
Yeah. Maybe
I
wonder if it had anything to do with the last time.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
Probably.
He said, this time I'm gonna have something to say about what's on here.
Exactly. And so yeah, that's a very important point. Thank you for reminding me that he had a much bigger hand in picking out the tracks this time. So so Ken, let's start with you. So what do you think? Did they get it right this time? What do you think?
Well, I don't think it's a perfect collection, but it's the most satisfying to me of the three different collections. You know, and also we should stress that these are the dark horse years, so you're not going to have any of the Capitol stuff here.
Right.
Right.
The one major flaw in this entire compilation is the very first single that George released on Dark Horse. This song is
There
not
you
even
go.
on there.
Yeah.
You know, that was the first single from 33 and a Third, and I don't know why. It's
Mhm.
kind of like Wings Greatest is released and Listen to What the Man Said is not on there, which makes
Right.
no sense. But this song should have definitely been a part of this compilation. The best thing about it are the three new tracks. And, you know, we were living in a time when anytime there was a new release that came out and it was a compilation of any kind, and you had all the material anyway, this gave you more of an incentive to go out and get it. And there were so many greatest hits albums where they would put one bonus song on there,
Right.
something unreleased. Well, here you had three.
Mhm.
And I liked all three songs, especially Cheer Down.
Yeah.
The song selection, I think, was pretty good. It's all a question of taste, really. I mean, I like, you know, every song practically that George did in his solo career. And when it comes to the Cloud Nine material, so much of it, you know, is interchangeable. I could easily take out When We Was Fab and put in This Is Love or Devil's Radio.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I could take out Life Itself, which I still love. A lot of
Oh, I
people
love
really
that
love
song.
that song. There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Your Love Is Forever is one of my favorite love songs of George's solo career, and that's not in there. Or True Love. Or I could take out That's the Way It Goes, which I do love, you
Yep.
know, and put in any of the songs that I just mentioned. But the one thing definitely that should have been on there is this song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I agree.
you know, when it comes to the Cloud Nine material, and I like every song on the album, you know, I love the title track to Cloud Nine. Was that more important than Devil's Radio? Devil's Radio got a ton of airplay on rock radio.
Yes, it did.
And This Is Love is a perfect pop song. You know, I
Yep.
could take any of those songs over Cloud Nine. So I wouldn't say it's a perfect compilation, but it's a very satisfying one for me overall. And like I said, the three new songs, you know, that really made it special right there. I mean, Cheer Down is one of my favorite of George's solo songs, period.
Mm.
And the great slide guitar work that he does on that song, which goes on for like a minute and a half towards the end. Like he never did that before on his records, played that much slide.
Hmm.
So yeah, I love the fact that every album's represented. That's a
Yep.
great thing right there. That there's anything from Gone Troppo, which is an album that is virtually ignored.
Mhm.
I love the fact that it was handled that way. So yeah, it's not perfect, but it is satisfying to me.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first picked up this album and heard it. Yeah, Cheer Down was like the revelation for me. I remember that. I just thought, where was this from? Why wasn't this a huge hit? I mean, it was just such what a great song that is. And yeah, I mean, that alone was worth the price of admission in a way. What a great song that is. Tom, what do you think?
Well, first, I'm just glad to say I still have my original copy from 1989. So,
Me too.
Yeah.
but yeah, like Ken, I mean, I think this is it's near. I mean, it's really good. It's a lot better than the first one. I think it's a really good second best of, if you will. I mean, a lot of acts have had 2 to 3 greatest hits or best ofs, if you will, and I think this is a very worthy one. Like you said, Ken, I mean, a lot of the big hits are here. The best of those dark horse years from 33 and a third all the way up to Cloud 9 is here, and then you get the extra bonus of having a couple new songs, which is really cool to have too. It's really cool that Cheer Down did make it, because sometimes with licensing, I mean, because it was for the second Lethal Weapon movie,
Right.
they could have not had it on there, just because of the licensing issues. So it's really cool that he was able to put that on here. However, that being said, I don't think there's some songs on here that I don't think are like the best of those years. Like I said, I mean, Poor Little Girl, I think is just, I mean, of the 3 new songs, I think that's probably the weakest of the 3, and I definitely would have been more than happy to get rid of that and put this song
I
on.
love that song.
And put that's fine, but I mean, is it as good or better than this song? I mean, obviously it's up to you, but I think that needs to go. Like you said, Life Itself, Ken, and Cloud 9, I mean, great songs, but I mean, does Faster deserve to be on this set? Maybe.
Sure.
I mean, there was a promo video that there was a single in the UK.
Yep.
Cloud 9, does that belong on there? Maybe, but I mean, This Is Love was the single. It was 50, went to 55, I think it was on the charts. So good. Yeah, I mean, Teardrops, again, another good song that was a single. Dream Away would have made it maybe would have been a nice touch on this compilation. But again, I mean, that's just nitpicking, because I do think this is a really close, near to perfect compilation or best of. But again, it just depends on our taste. But yes, this song not being on this compilation is a crying shame.
Yeah.
Whenever,
Oh, go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
yeah, whenever I think of this song, I automatically think of when George was on Saturday Night Live promoting the album, and he showed the video, and it's a hysterical video,
Yes.
in the courtroom and everything. I mean, I immediately think of that, just like I do with Crackerbox Palace, 2 great videos that were shown on Saturday Night Live.
Right.
And here it was, the first single, promoting it, and how could it not be on there? It's just,
I remember
it's a glaring omission.
Yeah, I remember reading about it in the paper that this was coming out. I think it was the USA Today, and I was just like so excited, because I was really on this this kick with George Harrison, and then Traveling Wilburys, and then should a Traveling Wilburys song been on? Should have been on this?
Yeah,
that's another thing too. Could Handle of Care maybe have been on here? But that's something else. But Ken, I do have a question for you. But what's the difference between a promo single and a regular single?
A promo single is what's sent to radio stations.
Okay,
for the most part.
Because they're saying, from my understanding, was Poor Little Girl was a promo single. So is that an official single, or is it just something that's sent out to radio stations?
I'm trying to remember it. I don't remember seeing it in stores. I
think
it was just
nor
sent
do
to
I.
radio
I
stations.
never.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this whole idea of singles nowadays. I mean, it's so irrelevant what you call a single. A single is really it's an emphasis cut.
Yeah.
Right.
From the record company sent to radio stations to play.
Because I would definitely thought Cockamamie Business would have been the better of the 2 choices to send out to radios, to promote to promote this compilation.
Interesting.
Cheer Down, I think, would have been better than the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
but
I
that
wasn't-
had its own purpose, though.
Right. I know, for the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Tom, you mentioned Faster. Tom Brennan brought that up too. That said,
Mm.
where was Faster? Yeah, that was a single. Absolutely. So yeah.
And True Love was a single.
True
and
Love.
True
that's
Love.
True Love. Yep.
Yeah,
in
that's
Europe.
right.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Joe, what's your take on Best
Well,
of Dark Horse?
I think it's like you guys were saying. I think it's a better job than the best of George Harrison, and it is subjective. I think we can all, as we have been doing, really saying what we think would have been better, what maybe we feel could have been left off. But again, I want to stress, I could swear if we do the research that this was really George's picks. I could be wrong, but I think that he really arranged the titles that he wanted on here. So it's really like George's taste, I think, or what he thinks might be his best. But I love Poor Little Girl. That's one area I got to agree with you, Tom. I mean, it's all subjective. I think it was would have been a great single. Maybe was a little long, maybe slightly in the end. I don't know. I like it. I loved it then. I love it now. It's one of the big bonuses for me on there that I think it makes the album special. I love that song. I love Cheer Down, which was a Tom Petty co-write.
Yep. Correct.
That's become one of his all-time best songs in my personal list of favorite George songs. It'll be in the top 10. I love it that much.
Me too.
I thought Cockamamie Business was fun, but for me personally, I thought was the weakest of the three. Everybody likes what they like.
Right.
It was a good lark. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek song that George does so well with his humor. And then as far as what other ones would I have left off? Let me just look, because I have X's next to the ones here. Just personally, we agree in a lot of ways, I think, here. For me, if it was my decision, this song has to be on there. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I said earlier, I was kind of chiming in that I personally never been a big fan of it, but I put that on the side in the case that in this case, it's got to be on there. It was a single, one of George's big songs. It has to be on there, not because I personally love it, but it has to be on there.
Yeah.
So what would you take off? I'm just looking at some ideas here. I'm not a big fan of the Gone Troppo album, really. I think the title track Gone Troppo I would have replaced with Dream Away. If anything, because I have a Time Bandits connection with that song.
Right.
That's the only reason I'm thinking it was in Time Bandits. So I'm thinking Dream Away instead of the title track Gone Troppo. Maybe take off Here Comes the Moon, another track which I like. But maybe
no.
put on Faster, maybe.
Yeah.
It's
funny that this compilation has 3 songs on an album that he wanted nothing to do to promote.
This is true. What songs? I'm trying to think of other ones I had here, like maybe as takeoff songs. Well, Life Itself, I really like Life Itself.
Me too.
Also, somewhere in England, but I had this song in its place. The 4 ones that I had here to add: this song, possibly Faster, possibly This Is Love, take off Cloud 9, the title track.
Right.
I think This Is Love is more of a commercial kind of single song.
Absolutely.
And Dream Away, as I mentioned already. That's it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think this is a much stronger collection than Best of George Harrison. I mean, I think we all agree on that. Yeah. I mean, basically, what you were all saying, I would have liked to have seen at least one Traveling Wilburys song on here, because yes, I understand that wasn't just George, but I mean, that was such a big part of his, comeback in the 80s. And I mean, he Handle with Care at the very least would, or
Heading to the Light, maybe.
Yeah, End of the Line. Yeah, exactly.
It would have helped. I mean, because this album didn't chart particularly well.
I was amazed.
It was in the hundreds.
I was shocked when I looked it up. I looked up the chart performance, how this did not do well at all. And yeah, I mean, the Traveling Wilburys when this came out were hot. I mean, so if they had included one or two of those tracks, I think it absolutely would have sold better. So that I think was a big omission too. But yeah, this song, I completely agree. That was a big omission. They should have.
I think heading for the light is like more. It seems the most like a George Harrison.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, that could have been included. Yeah. So I mean, I think, yeah, I thought that was kind of odd not to have at least one Traveling Wilbury track on there. Although, you know, I don't know if it was because it wasn't strictly George, but you know, George was
probably.
Yeah,
probably would have needed permission from the other members.
Yeah, maybe that was it too.
Oh, one thing I forgot to say, it was important that I meant to say. This song, I wonder if George did have his choices and why he did this. Maybe there's a reason why he didn't really think fondly of this song.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the whole court case thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, that's true.
Why would he
was making fun of it? I think I thought he was proud of the way that he handled it.
Yeah, but that was 13 years earlier.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Okay.
So,
I don't know. Why else would he leave it off? I mean,
I don't know.
It's a great song. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So now we go to take 3. Let It Roll. Songs by George Harrison. Now this is interesting because, of course, now we have Brainwashed included. And definitely an interesting compilation. Obviously, there are hits here. But some that are definitely not hits that were chosen. So here we go. Got My Mind Set on You, Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth, Ballad of Sir Frankie Crisp, Let It Roll, My Sweet Lord, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Now, and of course the ones that the Beatles tracks that are on here, these are the live versions,
right,
from Bangladesh. All Things Must Pass, Any Road, This Is Love, All Those Years Ago, Marwa Blues, What Is Life, Rising Sun, When We Was Fab, Something, Blow Away, Cheer Down, Here Comes the Sun, I Don't Want to Do It, and Isn't It a Pity? So quite an interesting collection there. So what do we think of this one, Joe? What's your take on Let It Roll?
Well, I'll tell you, even though I'm pretty much of a completist when it comes to collecting, this is one that I don't own. I don't own this one.
I don't either.
Wow.
This came out. This came out in 2009.
right.
I believe this came out. I read,
Yep.
and this is not necessarily a best of. I think Tom was saying earlier, right? This is
More of a
just kind of
career spanning
career-spanning
compilation.
collection. Now, for me, you wouldn't be able to call it "Let It Roll" because I don't think Ballad of Sir Frankie Crisp was any business being on there. In my choice, doesn't mean I hate it or anything. It just there's so many stronger songs than that, including All Things Must Pass. So that's the first thing I would say about it. Now, you want to talk about Beatles stuff not being on? No. At this point, 2009, no Beatles stuff, live or otherwise. I'm not a fan of. I don't like live tracks being on compilations or hits, if you want to call best of, whatever. Nothing worse than when you buy, like I bought Foreigners thing and they have Hot Blooded Live.
Right, yeah.
Nothing worse than when they do that, which happens often. I think it's a great idea starting it off with Got My Mind Set on You because that's such a popular track. Even now, I mean, it's funny how so many new generations seem to know that song. Got My Mind Set on You. I'm looking at it while it's on the screen. It's easier than my notes. What else do I got here?
You can thank you can thank the supermarkets for Got My Mind Set on You
Yeah,
because I hear that song all the time in the
Yes.
supermarkets.
Good point.
Amen. So do I. But yeah, the biggest objection I have are really the live Beatle tracks and the "Isn't It a Pity" demo. I don't know if to save space, you got "Isn't It a Pity" on there already. Right? Am I right about that? It's on, and then they have a demo as well, or am I wrong about that? Where I looked it up, it had "Isn't It a Pity" and "Isn't It a Pity" demo.
It doesn't say a demo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I looked online. I got like 2 of them listed where I saw. So if there's no demo,
Mhm.
fine. Isn't it
Yeah.
a pity the actual
I
track?
think that was a bonus track. That was a bonus track on iTunes, I
Oh,
think.
Okay.
Demo
Oh,
of
okay.
Isn't It a Pity?
Mm,
yeah. And then Marwa Blues, I think, has to be on there. I mean, it was
mhm.
a Grammy song, even I believe it won a Grammy,
Yes.
didn't it? That one?
Yeah, it did.
I mean, that there's other ones I might have picked personally. I try to do what I like, but what I also think belongs on there. So that's why back to this song again. And I tried not to get into the trap where I said, well, if I'm saying this song should have been on Best of Dark Horse, then it shouldn't be repeated here. I didn't do that. I said, no, I'm taking them all individually as a piece of work. So I figured this song again should be on. Cracker Box Palace is missing from here.
Yeah. Where's
Yeah.
Cracker Box
Uh-huh.
Palace? Yeah.
The song "You,"
This
arguably,
song
Yeah.
This
this
song,
song,
once
and
again.
and this song. Yeah.
Yeah. Dark
yeah,
Horse.
you do hear me, right? I think. Hello,
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear
Yeah.
you. Yep.
I just said that. Dark Horse, Dark Horse would be a nice. You, and also I put "Stuck Inside a Cloud." Maybe. I mean,
Mm.
Mm,
uh,
yes.
That was the
you know,
That's right. First
first
single.
single for Brainwashed. Yeah.
Yep.
and other than the live Beatle tracks and Ballad of Sir Frankie Crisp, which I think is bizarre. I could given all the songs you could have on there. I don't understand. Oh, I like that. I Don't Want to Do It is on here as
Yeah.
as a track that you can.
Deep track.
It's in Porky's Revenge if you
Right.
listen closely. We could barely hear it, but to have it on there is a nice to have a straight track elsewhere, which I like. So there you go.
Yep. Yeah, it's an interesting selection. Absolutely. Ken, what do you think?
I think the biggest problem at this point, um, even though this is after George's passing and all, but covering his entire career, you can't do it with one CD.
That's
Mhm.
right.
You really had to make it at least 2 CDs. And I would never have put the live versions on there of the Beatles songs. I don't have a problem with live recordings on a compilation at all, especially if they were hit versions, the
Oh,
live
no,
version
yeah.
of Coming Up and something like that, or maybe I'm
Take that part
amazed.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. But because Bangladesh was such a special concert and I love the live performances of all the songs, I wouldn't have had a problem with having Wawa on there or Beware of
Right.
Darkness with Leon Russell or something like that, or even the live version of Bangladesh. But
Mhm.
yeah, the Ballad of Sir Frankie Crisp is an odd choice. I love the song. I really do.
Mhm.
Love everything about it. But it's a deep album cut, and it's all a question of your own personal taste. Um, so uh, the songs that Joe was mentioning are songs that I would include if it was a double CD.
Right.
Otherwise, the
Yeah.
ones that were picked on here, I don't have that big a problem with. Um, Definitely Stuck Inside a Cloud. Thank you for saying that. Dark Horse and You. You can't not have Dark Horse on there or You. Um, Beware of Darkness, like I said before, Devil's Radio, this song, Cracker Box Palace, Wake Up My Love would be nice. Although I love Dream Away as well. So it's more a question of take off the live Beatle songs
Mhm.
on there, take off Ballad of Sir Frankie Crisp, and add all this other stuff that I mentioned and more.
Yeah.
Because you really should have, at this point, you've got a double album, a double CD's worth of great material. You had a full album's worth of great material in 1976 for the best of
Yeah.
George Harrison. You
Right.
certainly had 2 albums worth or 2 CDs worth by this point with George. So, but yeah, I love the fact Marwa Blues is on there. That should be given a lot of recognition. Such a beautiful instrumental. I love the fact that I Don't Want to Do It is on there. A little bonus to be thrown. Those stray
Mhm.
singles. It's really nice to have on there. Um, yeah, it was okay. It was good. But the biggest problem I have with it is that it shouldn't have just been one disc.
Yeah.
Ken, I again, and these are things you seem to remember in your computer. I could swear that I remember maybe Olivia wanted this to be a double CD, and then
I
was
remember
the
that
company
too.
forced it to be a single. Was that
Yeah,
right?
Right.
that's what I
Yeah.
remember. I think they thought that
Oh.
he wouldn't have sold. if it was
Mm.
a
Yeah.
double CD.
So they
Costing
they
more.
wanted, the Harrisons wanted it as a double.
Yeah,
It's
could easily have been.
so frustrating.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. Absolutely. Tom, what's your take on Let It Roll?
Well, for me in 2009, the only reason to get this set was to have I Don't Want to Do It on CD because it wasn't on CD before. So this was, and then having being completist, I had to get it as well. But to echo Ken, this had to have been a double CD, or it just doesn't work as a career spanning album. It's like having a documentary on a band that's been together for 50 years and it's only an hour and a half long. You know what I mean? It's just a waste of time. They could have done something like the Bob Dylan box set. I mean, the box sets from the late 80s, early 90s were huge. They did a 4 CD John Lennon box set back in was it 92 or something like 91?
Oh
Yep.
yeah, forgot about
You know what I
that.
That
mean?
was
Yeah.
the import one.
Now what George couldn't have sold? I mean, I know John Lennon is probably a little bit above George Harrison in sellability, but he's no less important, I think. I mean, George sells fine. You know what I mean? He definitely deserved a second CD. I mean, it's not that much more expensive. There's a lot of George. I would have gladly dished out another $5 for a double C. I would have dished out another $10 for a 3-disc set of
Yeah.
George Harrison's, which could have even been better. You throw on those songs like the soundtrack song. It's automatically.
Cheer Down.
No. The one he did with
I Don't Wanna
Vicki
Do It.
Brown. No, Vicki Brown's
Oh.
wife.
Oh, Shanghai Surprise.
No, Vicki Brown. Yeah, Shanghai Surprise. Yeah, you throw that on there. You throw all those little nits and grannies on
I just
there.
throw Horse to the Water. I'd like to get
And
Horse to the Water.
that's on my notes as
Yeah.
well. Why can't that have been on here? I mean, does what's his name own the rights to that song because it was on his
Jules Holland?
Jules Holland?
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
don't
Because it
know.
wasn't
I
on
heard
his
Oh
that.
right.
wasn't it on his like compilation
Yes, it
CD or
was.
something?
It was
Okay,
on-
so all right, so it's been what how long has it been since that was on that compilation? Almost 20 years now.
If that was the case, I can't
No.
believe he wouldn't have given
Exactly.
Olivia,
Right. Because
the
it
rights
hasn't
to put it on there.
right because it hasn't had an official U.S. release.
That's important. That's his last track, really.
Mhm.
That's the only
Exactly.
thing that-
That's
Exactly.
an excellent point. Yeah.
It's a good
Mhm.
song too. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even think, I
Excellent
didn't even
song.
think of it
Yeah.
until now.
Yep,
Right,
that's a
yeah.
very good point.
And yeah, that was so yeah, there's no excuse why that song couldn't have been on this compilation as well. So altogether, I think this is probably the most disappointing of the three. There was a lot of possibilities with this that just didn't materialize. If you want to,
Yeah.
How
that
could this
route.
be more disappointing than the best of George Harrison?
Yeah.
Because
the
you
whole
had
side
so
of-
much more possibilities, so much more songs you could have added to this.
Well, that's true. A lot more of a period.
You had a whole
Yeah.
career now at this point,
Yeah.
of material that hadn't, seen the light of day in a long time.
Mhm.
You could have done you could have done someplace else, the Shanghai Surprise version of someplace else. You know what I mean? You could have done little gems like that, So,
Yeah.
Tom,
Right.
listening to you here, Tom, I think what you should do is you should sell that CD and go out and buy a copy of Porky's Revenge.
I have it on vinyl.
right. Yeah, nice.
I do. I have it on vinyl. So now, interesting that you bring up the 2 CDs and all, because Joe has something interesting
Right.
to
Yes,
show
I do.
us. And
And some-
no, unofficial compilation.
It's an unofficial, I believe. They say that there's a series here, Russian CDs. It says George Harrison greatest hits. It's unofficial, I'm pretty sure. It sure looks official, but it's a great quality 2-disc set. These are the kind of things you wish they had done. Capitol and Dark Horse, Apple. Now they were telling me just read the ones that are on here. That at the beginning of the show, he said, just read the ones that we haven't mentioned yet. I think I can go through these really fast in a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right,
I-
I'm timing you.
It's also interesting. I mean, the sequencing too.
Okay.
I'm going to go fast, but disc 1, Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth, My Sweet Lord, Sue Me, Sue You Blues,
Ooh.
Run of the Mill, Blow Away, All Things Must Pass, While My Guitar Gently Weeps Live, Not Guilty, This Song, You, What Is Life, All Those Years Ago, Love Comes to Everyone, Got My Mind Set on You, This Is Love, When We Was Fab, Something Live, Handle with Care from the Wilburys, Any Road, and we stopped the first disc with Rising Sun. That's disc 1. Now
Wow.
disc 2, we open with Wah Wah, the studio track. Wah Wah opens.
Okay.
Okay.
Disc 2, Living in the Material World, Dark
Great.
Horse, This Guitar Can't Keep from Crying, Crackerbox Palace, Learning How to Love You,
Yes.
Here Comes the Moon, Here Comes the Sun Live, Faster, Teardrops, I Don't Want to Do It, Cloud 9, the track, That's What It Takes, Wreck of the Hesperus, Fish on the Sand, Devil's Radio, Cheer Down, Stuck Inside a Cloud, Never Get Over You, and the last track, Marwah Blues.
Damn.
That's
That's how you
nice.
do it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
Wow.
don't know how
out-
long-
Take out the Beatles songs live and
Right.
Actually, yeah, I didn't realize, but before I went into that, I forgot they had those. But it's okay to put them live when you have, all this other.
but you still have more you could have added anyway without
Oh,
those.
absolutely.
But
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
that's a much more interesting compilation there.
yeah. And of course, you have to really see it. You can't retain everything. If you see it written down and you go over it, it's
Mhm.
easier to see it and go over it a couple of times. It's a
Hmm.
real good track listing. And Ringo, there's a one on here for Ringo that goes up to Postcards from Paradise in his solo career. It goes up to 2015. This disc is 2010.
Mhm. Interesting. Boy, that is a much compilation. Wow.
Yeah.
You
But
know, we just did our show where we listed 15 songs from Paul from 2000 on. It'd be
Right.
interesting if we can compile a 2 CD list of each Beatle spanning their careers and
Absolutely.
how difficult that would be,
yeah,
especially Paul since he put out so much.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you try doing it yourself and it's not that easy.
that's true. That is true. So to wrap this up, so what would we like to see from is obviously the 3 compilations we've gone through, there are pros and cons to each. Although it seems like we all kind of like the second one the best. I think that's kind of the general consensus. So the third one had some.
I don't think any of them are good
like
enough.
they're
But
not
the second one,
perfect.
None of
the
them
Yeah.
are.
second one I would say is
Right.
the best. The best.
Yeah, but yeah, and so what would we, what would we like to see, and in case Olivia or Danny may be listening or watching, listening to this or watching, what would we like to see in a compilation, future George Harrison compilation, in general? Tom, what about you? What you know?
Well, I mean, definitely nothing less than 2 discs worth of material, and make sure that you fill those discs. I don't care necessarily about the vinyl side of it, because that's more vinyl, because you only get so much minutes on vinyl as opposed to CDs. I'd rather have the CDs just filled with hits and rarities, really. If there's something in the vault that hasn't been released yet, you can add something like that just for like a little surprise. But the rare stuff that hasn't really seen the light of day, like the soundtrack songs, that don't get much attention, but definitely the hits. But the thing is, when it comes to the B-sides, for sure, because especially the non-album B-sides, like I Don't Care, Miss Odell, and I Don't Know, I think that. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry, but
I don't
Deep
care
Blue.
anymore.
No, I don't care anymore. And Deep Blue is what I meant. But
Okay.
those songs, because that's just you're only getting them if you have the George Harrison box set now, the latest reissues. I mean, if it's hard to find them on vinyl, the originals unless you go on eBay and spend
Right.
money, that way. But I wanted that one collection. But when it comes to deep cuts, we're all going to have different ideas of what we think should be on there. So if that's the case, then I'll handle it myself. I'll just put the songs on my iPod, and I won't have to spend any more money on a 3-disc compilation because I have it all in my collection anyways.
There you go.
So-
Yep. There you go. Absolutely.
But I would definitely welcome a 2 or 3 CD set of a true career spanning hit where every album has a song to represent that album, which again this does not do, which is another disappointing. I think there's like 4 or 5 albums that don't have a song to represent it. On that Let It Roll. So that's what I would definitely make sure happens as well.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Joe, what would you like to see?
I echo what Tom said, but if Olivia and Danny are listening out there, the first thing I want more than anything is a Live in Japan Blu-ray or something, some kind of set that takes some compilation songs from it. Even if you can't get a complete concert, just give us a bunch of performances together and a documentary. Anyway,
there you go.
I'm pretty set with this, but no, I like to see, like Tom said, what I'm most interested in, rather than regurgitating the same kind of tracks over and over. I would like to get different stuff that we don't see so often. Deep Blue, Miss Odell, etc. The songs that weren't on the first pressing of Somewhere in England, Sat singing, lay his head, all that kind of stuff. And I know I'm forgetting another one. There's like a version of Flying Hour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying is another version of it.
Right.
That's out.
Yeah, with Dave Stewart working on it.
I would like that, but and then like Tom said, 2 or 3 disc. I think a 3-disc set would be nice that has all the stuff that really should be on from his whole career, every album, and a few bonuses along there. Yeah, I think they could do better, but I think if they had the opportunity themselves to say something about it, it would have been better. Let it roll.
Right.
I agree.
It's not costing the studio much money to add a second disc. I mean, all the songs are done. You know what I mean? It's a dump. I mean, here it is. I mean, here's all the song. I mean, really, that's all it is. And plus it's more money in the bank. So if you don't think it's going to sell a lot, then don't print a lot. You know what I mean? I mean, if you think it's only going to sell 10,000 copies, then only do 10,000.
Yeah.
Let's get Tom a job at Universal.
I think. Oh boy, Ken, what are your thoughts?
Pretty similar to what Tom and Joe have been saying. Yeah, I would love to see a 3 CD set, but I do believe that none of these compilations were called greatest hits.
True.
True. I mean, point. Every time Tom's been talking, he's always bringing up the. And it is true. If this is for the casual fan, you have to have the hits on there. You've got to have the most essential hits, the ones that charted the highest. And so all the ones that were on the second side of the best of George Harrison, those all have to be on there. And then the singles from the Dark Horse years, this song, Cracker Box Palace, Blow Away, all those years ago, and then all the Cloud9 stuff, those have to be on there. So I would like to see a representation of every single album of George's solo career beyond whatever the first single was or whatever the singles have been, and have a few album cuts from each represented, hopefully wisely done with really good tracks. We all have our own tastes. I can always relate to having been brought up on the radio, what radio played. And I do remember, like when I was talking about the best of George Harrison, I heard So Sad on the radio. all the time in New York
Mm.
on WPLJ. I heard a song like that. I heard This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying on the radio. I heard Don't Let Me Wait Too Long. I heard Living in the Material World. So I can relate to the fact that those songs did get airplay and were heard at the time. So, I'd like to see all those albums represented and then sprinkle in a few rarities, like Tom said, and maybe some stuff that hasn't been bootlegged. When you're talking about those B-sides like Miss Odell, which was already released as a, bonus track on Living in the Material World, or
Right.
Deep Blue, which was also a bonus track,
Mm.
I Don't Care Anymore, I don't think has been released yet, probably will be.
No, it's on
Um,
one of the reissues for the Dark Horse years.
okay.
No, I'm sorry, the Apple years. Apple years. It is on one. It is one a bonus disc. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that the fans that want that have it already.
Mm.
But for the hardcore fans, something that hasn't been released at all would be
Right.
nice. Have a
Mhm.
few songs on there. So spread it out from All Things Must Pass on. Nobody said a thing about Wonderwall music. If anything should come from that.
Someone
But
mentioned that in the
And in the
comments.
comments, yeah.
really, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind one thing from there. It'd
Skiing.
be nice to have an instrumental.
And there's no electronic
Skiing.
sounds on anything either.
There could be a good reason. Take up a whole side.
Oh, we'll put Horse to
Um,
the Water on a nice compilation together.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Horse to the Water should be on there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would want. A little bit of everything. The hits, deep cuts, songs that were album cuts that got airplay when they first came out, and then rarities. Package it all together.
Yep.
Something for everyone.
I agree. I'd love to also have those tracks remastered. I'd love to have a good remastering, remixing, have just a, kind of like the ultimate mixes of the John Lennon set last year. Just really have it be a, top shelf
Yeah.
job. Would love to
Well,
see that.
That's what they've been talking about for box
Mhm.
sets.
Yeah.
And ask the
Chronologically,
fans.
so-
Ask the fan. Get the fans involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, another approach when we were talking about the rarities. Prince years ago had
Oh.
a collection where he had, the hits and then the B-sides.
B-sides.
Yeah,
It's the
and
three disc set.
yeah, and the B-sides. I mean, that's where you could have, the literal B-sides that like Zigzag and that kind of stuff. I'd love to
Yeah.
have that all in one on one CD. That'd be great. And then you could put some of the other kind of stray singles and that kind of thing. So that's another approach you could take. So there are a lot of ways that you can do it. So I think it sounds like the consensus is we have yet to see the a hits greatest or best of collection that fully encompasses George's career, and there's a lot obviously to work with. There's a lot of material besides the Beatles. You don't have to put Beatles stuff in there.
Right.
I mean, there's so much to draw from in his solo career that yeah, you don't need to put in Beatles stuff. His stuff stands on his own. I think we've come to that consensus too.
Right.
What
What can I say? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the Traveling Wilburys, as you mentioned, that's it's tough to say whether you should include Traveling Wilburys in this, because there's only so much you can do with the two albums of the Traveling Wilburys. You can't make great compilations based on two albums for the most part.
Mhm.
So I can understand, hey, yeah, put Handle with Care in there or Heading for the Light. I can see that for that reason. But at the same time, it would be nice just to keep it just George solo.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a tough call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And I'm glad that his stuff is out there to buy. I mean, all of his stuff should still be in print. You can still, buy the vinyl. You can still buy the CDs. So we're still fortunate that way.
Yep.
I mean, do we really need the career spanning, compilation from George Harrison when all of his stuff is still in print? I don't know, maybe, but I mean, like I said, like we've talked about before, I mean, it's good for beginners, or for the casual fan that eventually may be interested in his complete catalog.
Yep. The gnomes say yes.
Yes.
Okay. They rule.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly. All right. Well, this has been a fascinating discussion, and a lot of people have been weighing in on Facebook too, and so I think this discussion is going to keep going on, and I'm sure on YouTube as well. So we definitely want to hear
Right.
what you think. This is and as I said, maybe our wishes will be heard.
Right.
Let's hope so. So thank you all for sharing your thoughts as well. All right, so I guess we will share what we're doing and what's coming up. So let's start with you, Joe. What is going on with you? Where can we find you?
My channel on YouTube is Mean Mr. Mayo. Please subscribe. And the main thing that I'm doing is the Fab Gab show, which is going to be shows where I'm going to eventually have topics to discuss with my co-host Matthew Street and some guests when we have them on. Right now, I'm doing rankings of all the Beatles album songs and from our least favorite to most favorite. And I recently had Kit on. She was on doing Sgt. Pepper. Last show we did was Magical Mystery Tour with Andy Nichols. I'm going to have both Ken Michaels and Tom Hunyadi on in the not too distant future. And that's the newest thing on my channel.
All right.
Can I do anything? I'm actually my Hudson. I know podcast. I was on there talking about John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. So there's one for Hudson Ranny. I know the YouTube channel. You can find it on YouTube.
There's a plug for you.
There you go. Good friend of this show. Absolutely. Tom, what there's always stuff going on with you. What's happening?
There's always something going on. Yeah, well, so we just posted our newest episode this past weekend. We had our good friend Ethan Alexanian on, and we talked about the Ubu Jubu radio show from 95. We had a good time talking about that. I've got coming up in the future, I've got Timmy Sean, who did 2 vocals on the upcoming Ram On tribute to the album Ram. He's going to be on talking about the couple songs that he did vocals on, and we're just going to pay tribute to Ram in general. So look for that in a couple weeks. And excuse me. The ranking the tracks we did. What did we do? We did Chaos and Creation in the Backyard last week. We're going to be taking a couple weeks off here because our schedules have been pretty busy. So in 2 weeks, I think the 13th, the 12th or the 13th of May, I think it was, we'll be back and we're going to be ranking this sucker right here, Memory Almost Full. So we're really, great. Another tough one. Tough one to rank too. A lot of really good quality songs on this one. So check that out.
The worst one is easy, right?
Yeah.
Least favorite.
The one that I don't like.
Least favorite. Yeah.
Nor I.
One of the few.
Right.
One of the few from Paul that I don't like.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So
hey, give it another 10 years. You never know.
You never know. So check out our YouTube channel, Two Legs of Paul McCartney podcast, and if you like that, please subscribe. I did Hudson's I Know show as well a few weeks back, so check that out. I was fortunate to do Rubber Soul on Fab Gab with Joe and Matthew Street, so thank you there. And we're busy as always. So Two Legs is the wheels are going. They're full steam ahead.
1,000 legs. 1,000 legs.
Yeah,
right.
full steam ahead.
You got a lot of legs.
We got a lot of legs.
There you go. Yep, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Tom. Ken, you are always also busy. So what have you been up to?
Yeah, my YouTube channel has been very busy of late. Since our last show, there are interviews on there separately with Denny Sywell and Fernando Perdomo, and they are the co-producers of the new Ram tribute called Ram On, which is due out May the 14th. So they all tell their own stories about the new tribute. And of course, Denny talks about his career with Paul and being in Wings and answering a lot of questions there. He's always a great interview, Denny Sywell. I also interviewed the one and only legendary Bobby Rydell.
Wow.
Yes,
YouTube channel.
That was amazing.
Yeah, did you watch it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I saw he was on. I couldn't believe it with the hat.
Okay.
With the cap. I said, that Bobby Rydell? Wow.
Yeah, he's still active out there. And once this pandemic is over, for the longest time now, since 1995, he's been touring with Frankie Avalon and
Mm.
Fabian,
Oh,
the three
wow.
guys from Philadelphia. And but we talked a lot about his career, the hits from the early 60s that he had, being in Bye Bye Birdie. And then I also had to mix in the Beatles into the conversation. So we talked about the fact that he covered A World Without Love, had a minor hit with it. And actually, the company he was on, Cameo Parkway, was bought by Alan Klein
Wow.
eventually. So, but he didn't have too many memories about Alan. He didn't see much of him, but it was mainly about
Mm.
his own career. And he's a great interview, real fun guy, and a tremendous talent. I'm amazed when I watch footage of him from his early years. He's like 20 years old and he's in command of his audience. It was like he was born to be a star, like he's been on
Mm.
stage forever. You should watch early footage of Bobby Rydell. What a great singer he was and still is. And also, I had Al Sussman on to play the number 9 Dream Show,
Mm.
which, for anyone that doesn't know, it's when you take one Beatle and you have 3 categories about that Beatle and you name your top 3 in each category. So Al picked John Lennon, and he picked his 3 favorite John Lennon Beatle songs, his 3 favorite John solo lyrics, and also his 3 favorite Lennon vocals of all time,
Mm.
Beatles and solo. And that makes a show.
That's
So we get
fun.
his insights, and how he feels about, why he picked these songs amongst his favorites. And also, there's my other podcast show, Things We Said Today. We recently just did a show reviewing McCartney 3 Reimagined, or just imagined. It's just imagined, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I keep wanting to
Uh,
say reimagined. Yeah.
Gotta
yeah.
steal John's title.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. Yeah, so we did that in our last show, and that's up on Podbean and iTunes and our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. And then there's my website, kenmichaelsradio.com, with Beatles trivia every single week. Go to the Beatles trivia and games page. There's a brand new one for this coming week, and it's for my game called The Word. And you can win one of 10 great prizes, including Kid's book, songs we were singing. And there you go. I think that covers it. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ken Michaels Radio. It's very active lately.
Hmm.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right.
No,
Well,
no one's done a Ringo number 9 Dream yet. There,
Maybe
Ken.
you will be the one.
Hmm.
I
Maybe
wouldn't
I'll
mind doing
assign that
Ringo.
to you.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right. Before I get to my stuff, of course, you can find us at Talk More Talk on our website, talkmoretalk.com. You can find us right here on our Facebook page. You can find us on Twitter at talkmoretalk1. That's the number 1. You can email us at talkmoresolotalk@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback, your ideas for topics. We'd love to hear your feedback. And you can, of course, find us on any podcast platform you can think of if you prefer to hear the audio version. And of course, you can find us on YouTube, and please subscribe. We're getting close to 1,000. So keep on telling your friends to subscribe. We're almost there. We're almost there. So and thanks as always for your support. I also want to give a shout out to fab4radio.com that runs this show and many of our individual shows. So I want to give a shout out to Beatles.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
They run
Thanks.
all of it.
They run all of it. Absolutely. And
It does all of it.
yep, all of it.
Is that where you're at?
Oh, here we go with references. So as far as far as I go, as Joe mentioned earlier, I was recently on Fab Gab, had an awesome time talking, ranking the tracks on Sergeant Pepper, and just had a blast with it. It was hard, but it really was. But it was a lot of fun. So do check that out on the Mean Mr. Mayo channel. Also, I am giving a if you're watching this on April 26th. On April 28th, I am giving a 1-hour free lecture on the history of Motown. And it's going to be just the very condensed version of the class that I gave back in February. And it's through the Avalon Public Library, and it is free to register. I'm going to put the link in the comments, so you can do that. I think it is still, there are spaces still available, but you want to register as soon as you can. And this is just going to cover 1959 through 1969.
Okay.
I had hoped to cover the 70s and 80s, but in an hour, no way.
Ain't happening.
Ain't happening. So there's just no way. So I'm doing it right now. I am copying and pasting the link. So you just go there and register. And it's at 2:00 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, April 28th. So hope to see you there. It's going to be audio visual presentation, lots of music, lots of fun. So hope.
Make sure you
hope
put the tip jar out, Kit.
And exactly, but tips are always accepted. Always welcome, never expected. No, it's kidding. So anyway, well, this has been a great episode as always. Thank you to all of you for joining us. And next time we, of course, are going to start diving into the Plastic Ono Band box sets. So as soon as we get off the air, we're going to start. Our earphones will be plugged into our brains. We're going to live with this box set, for the next however many days. So, and I'm going to be broadcasting from as George would say, someplace else.
Someplace
else.
There.
So you will
Very
see,
nice.
and the gnomes won't be there. It's you'll see. So anyway,
Maybe you'll be gone Troppo.
Yeah.
That's right. I may be going Troppo. That's right.
The rocking chair in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's right. You're rocking chair in Hawaii. That's right. So you'll find out. So thanks again to everybody for joining us. So for Joe Mayo, Tom Hanyati, and Ken Michaels, this is Kit O'Toole saying peace and love, peace and love. Thanks, everybody. Good night.